Hi everybody, Valtro here. This is the second part of my series where I'm trying to see historically what have been the best PvP classes leading into Shadowlands. I've used Legion and BFA because that's when all classes have been implemented since Demon Hunter came along in Legion. I've compiled statistics from arenamate.net and arenatracker.com. You can see on the left for Legion, I've used total number of players ranked that season, and because of how one of the websites changed how they kept statistics for BFA, I'm using percentage of player base. So total numbers versus percentage. It still gives us an idea, and it's of what I'm looking for, just to see what classes have been most dominant throughout the last two expansions, all the way up to current time for BFA. So we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at healers. For 3 versus 3, Legion through BFA, Discipline Priest is tied with Holy Paladin as the best healer. Both very consistent throughout BFA and Legion. So coming in third, we would have Restoration Shaman. It had a very strong Legion. It's been a little down in BFA. Looked like Season 1 it had a pretty good go, but since then it's been a little iffy. Restoration Druid comes in at number 4. Pretty consistent in Legion. It was a little on the lower tier. In BFA, Season 1 and Season 4, it's been a little down. Still a good healer, but not like BFA Season 2 and 3 where it was very dominant. Mistweaver Monk at number 5. Mistweaver's kind of been hanging around the bottom, except for this Season 4 in BFA. It was very strong. We saw in the arena tournaments with Cocoon, it was just unstoppable. Actually got nerfed because of that. And last, at number 6 for the healers, is Holy Priest, which has just really struggled in 2s and 3s throughout both expansions. So now we'll go to our DPS and our number 1 DPS class for 3v3, which was a little surprising to me, but Legion, they were just super strong, and that's Arms Warrior. Super strong in Legion, still great as a Warlock. I hate facing them now, even in BFA. Warriors come in at number 1 overall DPS class from the last 2 expansions. Fury Warrior comes in rank number 21, near the bottom of the barrel, but still a fun class to play. Number 2 for 3v3, Shadow Priests. Very consistent over both expansions. Number 3, Destrolock, with Affliction and Demonology near the bottom. Warlock carried by Destruction. Was pretty good in Legion, especially towards the end of the expansion, I felt. And then everybody knows BFA right now. Warlock, just insane. But definitely carried. You'll see some other classes that are maybe a little lower than you expected. But I ranked this by spec. So they've got a little more even specs where, like Warlock, it's pretty much been Destro or nothing. Number 4, this was a surprise for me. Ret Pally. I honestly didn't expect it to be this high. I'm kind of questioning it. But, according to the numbers, very strong in Legion. Not horrible now, but I didn't expect it to be this high. Number 5, Havoc Demon Hunter. It dominated the 2v2 bracket through Legion and BFA. And then it comes in at number 5 for us here in the 3v3. All right, tied for 6th, Assassination Rogues. It's also our only class that has 2 specs within the top 10. With Sub at 9, and then Outlaw, one of probably the worst specs for PvP, at 23rd. There's 24 DPS specs. So with ties and whatnot, 22nd, 23rd, a lot of the time that's dead last. So, but Assassination Rogue, it's been deadly, pretty much all throughout BFA. Not as much in Legion. Sub was a little stronger in Legion, according to the numbers. So, but Rogue, always a great class. Also tied for 6, Elemental Shaman, which was a little bit of a surprise, it being there in 3s over mages, but we'll get to that. And then Enhancement at number 16. So a good showing for Shaman. I think it's a very fun class, so I was excited to see it that high. And tied for 6 also, Windwalker Monk. They've been a pretty decent spec both expansions. Never in the top 3, but always right there, kind of outside looking in, but always very strong. At number 9, tied for 9th with that Rogue spec, Frost DK, and at 14, Unholy DK. As a complete class, to me, Death Knight is better than coming in at 9th, just because Frost and Unholy, it's usually one or the other. One's really strong, one's probably not so good, and they kind of flip-flop. But coming in at 9 and 14, respectively, over both expansions, where Frost was better in Legion and Unholy in BFA, it's a strong class for sure. So now we're outside of the top 10 specs, right? So you're probably saying, where's Mage? Well, that's a good question, because everybody knows Mage is very good in 3s. So tied for 11th, it just didn't quite make the top 10, was Fire Mage. But then 13th is Frost, 18th Arcane. So Fire and Frost, to me, this is kind of like DK. It just had so many consistent specs throughout both expansions. Frost was probably a little bit better in Legion. And, of course, Fire right now has been really, really good in 3. So much burst damage, so much control. This one really did. This probably surprised me as much as seeing Ret Pally at 4, seeing Fire Mage outside of, or I'm seeing Mage period outside and Fire Mage outside of a top 10 spec. Tied for 11th with the Mage Feral Druid, and Balanced Druid coming in at 15. And last, tied for 16th at the highest spec with Survival Hunter. For the Hunter, tied for 18th, Marksman, and tied for 23rd with the Rogue spec is Beast Mastery Hunter. Hunters kind of struggled a little bit. Both these expansions, I believe. And I think what hurts it is it's really limited to the number of comps that it can play in. So that's what we have for 3v3 arena specs from Legion into BFA. I will link this spreadsheet in the comments so you can kind of take a better look at what I've done. If you would leave me a like, I would appreciate it. This was actually a lot of work trying to go through and accumulate all this data, and I hope this helps some of you guys kind of determine if you're on the fence about what class you want to main going into Shadowlands, where you can kind of look. The purpose of this was so you could kind of look back over the last few expansions and see how Blizzard has treated these classes and these specs previously. Not that that means that that's how it's going to be through Shadowlands, but we don't really know Shadowlands. We're getting a little bit of an idea, but still things haven't been tuned. Things aren't finished. So, you know, we take that knowledge and then add that with the history, and then hopefully we get a good idea of the class we want to play if we're not 100% sure yet. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it, guys.